here to another edition of AD and DT with Athletics Director of LeMoyne College, Bob Beretta, and myself, Dan Tortora, aka DT. We are here with you on campus, on the Heights. There is so much going on, and I cannot wait to share that all with you here this morning during Dolphin Time, exclusively on WakeUpCall with Dan Tortora and our multimedia marketing partnership. Mr. Beretta, how are we?
I'm excellent, Dan. How are you today?
Doing very well.
Yeah.
I have to start it off by saying something I say on the show all the time. Can you believe that WakeUpCall, Dan Tortora Broadcast Media, and LeMoyne are in year 3 right now?
No, it's been a blink, really. It's been a blink of an eye. They say the days go by long and the years go by short. I think it's all going by really fast.
Yeah.
The days, the months, the years, all of it. But it's been 3 great years, and so thrilled to be partnered with Dan Tortora Broadcast to help tell the stories of our fantastic student athletes.
No, it's been an honor for me, and like I said, time flies. I always say it flies when you're having fun. You know, whenever I get done with a show and it feels like it was quick, that's good. If it feels like it took forever, which they don't feel that way, then you know you're doing something wrong. So, speaking of how fast things go by, this men's and women's basketball season is just speeding. We are a few weeks from March, the first opportunity at some madness, albeit in the conference tournament, not the NCAA yet. And I know this is the fun part, because like coaches say they can't say certain things, but other people can. Well, as a broadcast person, Bob can sit here and smile, and I can say to the NCAA, change the rule. So hopefully we can do some postseason soon for this, because, I mean, let's face it, Merrimack and what they've done in the NEC, with what Stonehill's done in the NEC, and now LeMoyne for men's and women's basketball have made such a huge impact already on the NEC that just looking at this one conference of the 32 that are out there, it would prove to the NCAA that we really need to change that 4-year rule.
Well, you know, when I discuss this topic publicly, I always reiterate, we know what we signed up for, we agreed to that, and we're comfortable with that. Now, however, should the NCAA want to examine that rule and maybe shorten the period of time, we'd be very much in favor of those conversations and love to engage in those talks for our student athletes. But we do know what we signed up for, and this was the part that we felt would be the most difficult for our current student athletes. Is what kept me up at night as we were discerning this process, whether to pursue a transition to Division I or not. So we would love to have the opportunity to compete for an NCAA championship immediately, but we are so grateful that the NEC permitted our student athletes to compete for conference championships immediately. And we're getting in that time of the year where it's going to get really interesting for both of our basketball teams for sure.
Well, I think it improves the NEC portfolio immediately, and it also improves LeMoyne nationally and internationally, showing what you and I and Dr. Linda Lemira and people here on the Heights and alumni knew, which is that LeMoyne was ready to go D1, and the NEC making that investment in you is automatically getting a return. So quickly, with so many sports that we saw in the fall and now here in the winter and heading into the spring. So, I mean, really, it's a great problem to have, to say, this is who we thought we were, this is who we're showing we actually are, and this is what we're doing as a conference to make things interesting. And I think the NEC has been great. I think the competition's been wonderful, and seeing LeMoyne, all over the place in Division I has been wonderful. And for somebody like me who's such a March Madness fanatic, I'm not going to say fanatic, but a March Madness fan of just the game, the women's and men's game, the beauty of what March becomes. I'm looking forward to the NEC, and I want to thank the NEC and what they did have in their control, which is to offer immediate eligibility into their conference tournaments and conference championships for all of the sports that they sponsor. So LeMoyne student athletes and coaches did not have to wait. And I want to reiterate my thanks, my gratitude, my appreciation for someone who's no stranger to me or WakeUpCall, and that's Noreen Morris, and everyone that's working in the NEC, and all the presidents and chancellors and all of the leaders of the respectable, wonderful institutions that are there that help to obviously agree to bring you in, and at the same time to make the decision. So I know that I can't wait for the NCAA's, but without the NEC doing what you've done, we wouldn't be talking about a postseason at all. So many thanks to Noreen and her team. I think they more than have earned the right to say a big time thank you to them.
Well, they delivered for us, and the commissioner, just great leadership throughout the process. We're so indebted to the presidents that made that decision, and it was Commissioner Morris's leadership she was willing to consider that and bring it forward early on in our membership. Literally before we even became a member officially on July 1st, the presidents voted in June to allow us to compete immediately for the NEC championships. And you talk about just the shot in the arm for our current student athletes and how excited they are, and you have to be around our teams right now as we get toward March, and they'll be competing for that league championship. But were it not for that, their season would come to an abrupt end early in March, and that would be the end of that. And so now to have this second season, if you will, for them to be able to compete and we're positioning ourselves well on both sides to make a significant run in the NEC tournament.
Well, that's the beauty, is not only has LeMoyne and Stonehill been made eligible for these postseason tournaments, but they, on the court in men's and women's basketball that we're discussing here, they did what they needed to do to have the opportunity. It's one thing to be eligible and know that the opportunity's out there. It's another thing to take it. And as we're sitting here today on the Heights at LeMoyne College, we know that the men's and women's team, as of today, would both be in their tournaments for the NEC, and they're looking in good shape with a few weeks to go.
Well, the women are in second place right now, and they've already clinched a position in the tournament. And I think that hopefully we'll be in position to host one or two NEC tournament games on the women's side, which would be an unbelievable accomplishment in year one. And our men are also competing for that fourth spot. The top four teams in the conference host the first round tournament, first round game in the tournament, and we feel like our men are going to have a great chance at this. They're tied right now for fourth. It's a scrum. There's several teams in the midst of that. The good news is we control our own destiny. 4 of our next 6 men's basketball games are here at Ted Grant Court against those very same teams that we need to defeat in order to secure that home field, home court advantage for at least the first round of the NEC tournament. So I can't say enough great things about Nate Champion and Mary Grimes, the jobs that they've done in year one, and not only acquiring the talent necessary to be competitive, but also the mindset. And that's been a big part of this, because this season has been filled with ebbs and flows and highs and lows. Our women's team opened up 2-11 and they got to double-digit victories. I think they've won now 8 of their last 10 games. I think it's something like that. And our men, they've had kind of a steady roll all season long. Went through a really difficult period in the non-conference, weathered that storm, and have been exceedingly competitive in the NEC throughout the year. And with a victory over Central Connecticut. We have a big game against Central Connecticut here Thursday night against the first place team. LeMoyne defeated Central Connecticut once already this year. I'm sure that it's going to be a heck of a game on Thursday night here at Ted Grant Court.
Well, and the thing is, when you look at the overall record too, the challenges that both of these teams had in their first Division I season, with the women spending a month and a half on the road, the men opening up against Georgetown and then Villanova in the same week. We look at the tests that have come and all of the non-conference and pushing yourself to be prepared after going through a non-conference battle. You think, hey, we might lose some of these games, but we're going to have such great competition that it's going to hopefully push the best out of you. And the hope was, going into the non-conference schedule, that how you test yourself would end up paying dividends once you got into the conference of the NEC. It has. And as we sit here today, both of these teams in their first seasons as Division I programs had the opportunity to finish the regular season with a winning record, which anybody who's making a reclassification jump to get above 500, that is a massive victory, especially in year one, and both of these teams are in control of that destiny.
Yeah, really exciting things, and every game now is so important, Dan, and we look ahead to Thursday night. We talked about the Central Connecticut matchup, but then on Saturday's going to be a massive day here for us. We have so many promotions scheduled, and we'll play Stonehill for the second time in I think 9 days, and that'll be a game with tremendous ramifications for the postseason for us, trying to get as many people out to cheer on our men's team. They're worthy of that support, and we're also going to officially celebrate the 75th anniversary of LeMoyne men's basketball here on Saturday, inviting all former players back free of charge, pregame admission, pregame reception, free admission. We're going to have a recognition ceremony, a nice video at halftime. We have some pregame festivities in terms of presentations. We have a really special presentation we're excited about, Dan, with Kaiyem Cleary and Isaiah Salter, 2 separate presentations. But the one with Kai, that's going to feature hopefully Dick Kenyon and Phil Marlowe, perhaps the 2 former record holders of the single game record in person to help celebrate that moment and present Kai Cleary with a commemorative basketball. So that'll be a whole lot of fun. And not too many schools where you can have the former record holder present a ceremonial commemorative ball to the new record holder. That's pretty special, particularly with a record that stood for over 70 years. So that'll be fun. We have Scout Day, our first of 2 Scout Days on Saturday. So free admission to all Scouts that are in uniform. That's Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts. We're going to give out free posters. We'll have a post-game autograph session so the Cub Scouts can get those posters signed. And we developed a free Scout Day commemorative LeMoyne Athletic Scout Day patch for the Scouts that come to the game on Saturday. So a whole lot of things going on. And of course, the game is going to be broadcast on Yes Network. So if you can't come out to Ted Grant Court, please catch it on Yes. Or better yet, it will be rerun. So why don't you come out to the game Saturday and then catch it on replay later on in the evening.
Come live to Ted Grant Court, record it at home to watch later. That's what you guys need to do.
That's the plan.
So, yeah, I mean, and like you said, this Thursday, huge game against Central Connecticut State, an opportunity to see them again, this time at home at LeMoyne in Syracuse, New York on Thursday for the men. The women had been home for a bunch of games, the men on the road. That's how it flips in the NEC. Now it's flipped back, so the men are going to have a bunch of these games at home like you had mentioned. And so a game on Thursday, then the game on Saturday, Scout Day honoring Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, as well as having the Beeville Band.
That's right.
And we're going to have an opportunity to honor Kai Cleary with him setting the new record with points in a single game. And like you had stated, not only to honor him and give him a commemorative basketball with this information on it, but to have the former record holder of 70 years hand this off to him, which is something that I've never witnessed in my life in 20 years as a broadcaster. So I'm looking forward to that. Isaiah Salter will have a nice honoring of his 1,000 points that he has, and the beautiful history and what he has on and off the court become. So for Kai as well as for Isaiah, looking forward to both of those moments happening on Saturday, plus having LeMoyne basketball alumni come back. I've gotten to meet some of the history of LeMoyne, so I'm hoping that you all come back. Please make sure you do, as you're watching this with a few days before that time. And so we'll see you on Saturday, hopefully see you on Thursday, see you on Saturday for honoring 75 years of LeMoyne men's basketball, honoring all of the alumni that are a part of the history, honoring Kai, honoring Isaiah, honoring Boys and Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, giving them that commemorative patch, honoring our community with the Beeville Band again, who are incredible and really good on free throws when the other team's shooting, and on the Yes Network. So it's going to be such a massive, massive weekend. It's starting a little bit before 2 o'clock. So you come here around 1 o'clock for the pre-opportunity for the alumni to come in and have that get together. The game will tip off at 2, and we will see you here. Hopefully we'll see you here Thursday night as well. The women will be on the road, and they'll be back at home before things are all said and done. And being the number 2 seed, there's the opportunity, like Bob had mentioned, that we will get to see them at home in the postseason, which is no different than what we saw with Mary Grimes last year when they were the number 1 seed hosting the NE10 tournament. So from D2 to D1, Mary's making it look the same, hosting these games.
She's been incredible, and she's just got a group of young ladies that are relentless. They really are. They are relentless. They started the season with such a tough non-conference schedule, and to see how far they've grown in the past several months, it's incredible. And we're so excited about basketball, but Dan, tomorrow we open up with the spring sports. Our women's lacrosse team opens up Thursday afternoon, 1 o'clock against Cal. That's California Golden Bears from the former Pac-12, coming here to Ted Grant Field on Thursday at 1 o'clock. So hoping it's kind of chilly out there that day. Their AD is a good friend of mine from our West Point days, Jim Knowlton. So hopefully there's a little bragging rights between us that
it's supposed to snow.
Yeah, we'd like a little bit of snow flurries. Would be great earlier in the day for that game. And then really the weekend, the majority of our spring sports kick off. Our baseball and softball teams kick off on the road, and men's lacrosse opens up at Wagner on Saturday as well. So it's just an incredible time to be in college athletics when you have the spring-winter overlap, and when your teams are doing really well like ours are, it just adds to the overall excitement.
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, with lacrosse, being able to start off against Cal, start off at home this week for women's and men's lacrosse getting into action, baseball and softball jumping into it. You just saw my Dolphin Dive special with Tracy Roman, the head coach of the softball program, and everything that she's excited about, and the fact that the press box is there. We know with baseball getting started on the road, the new dugouts and everything that's been happening with that. And we already know that Ted Grant Field from men's and women's soccer has the concession stand and the restrooms that were all built for many sports in this upcoming season. So everybody in the spring is going to get to see, utilize, and enjoy the benefits of LeMoyne and leadership like Bob Beretta, Dr. Linda Lemura, and the board here keeping your word and actually creating. And we're going to see that immediately with men's and women's lacrosse, baseball, and softball. And we've already seen it with men's and women's soccer. And when we talk about the gym and volleyball and men's and women's basketball, we've already seen what has been done here with the athletic department and Bob spearheading so many different pieces of making sure that the aesthetically pleasing effect of it, and having digital boards to having more stuff on the digital board that we see on the scoreboard, to having the digital long board that's right in front of the scorer's table, to everything that we have seen with different promotions as well as LeMoyne's logos, the NEC teams. There's been so much work that's been done, and people that come in for the first time, they would know no different, but the people that have been here, product placement and just making sure that people know this is the home of the Dolphins, and when you're in the Dolphin Den, you know what it feels like. I have to give you and all the leadership credit for really pushing to do these things that may be simple, like putting a dolphin on the concession stand, but all too important, and making sure, like you and I talked about, not having blank spaces.
Yeah, you know, it's really important to me. Branding is very important. It helps tell our story. It helps tell our story when you enter our gym now and see the branding in there. But we're just scratching the surface. There's more plans in place for the summer. Hopefully we'll be able to kind of execute phase 2 of a little branding process in the gym, and maybe some other facilities like the pool might get a little bit of branding done. And we always have the next steps in place and in mind. Budgets are always a major concern, but we'll look to see what we can continue to try to improve not only the student athlete experience, but also the fan experience. It's really important to me that when our guests come in to Ted Grant Court or Ted Grant Field or out at Dick Rockwell Field or at the LeMoyne Softball Complex, the pool, we want them to have an experience like no other. And I know that there are larger institutions, larger athletic programs, but we're pretty special in what we have, and we want to make sure we elevate everything that we offer to our fans, because when they come here, it's a very unique experience, and we want them to come back.
Yeah, and you want them to feel at home, and there's something about LeMoyne bringing you in and making you feel very comfortable. There's not a bad seat in the house, and that's when you're on the fields, that's when you're sitting on the bleachers, that's when you're inside of Ted Grant Court. There's no bad seats, and that's a beautiful thing of really making the fan base feel welcome, feel a part of the action, and to get involved. And you have done that. You've done that rain or shine. You've done it on good days. You've done it on days where, you know, the weather's not the best and whatnot. So I want to thank everybody that's come out. You've done it around holidays, and you've been tremendous. So let's make sure we do that this Thursday with a massive game against Central Connecticut State. For basketball, for men's basketball, let's make sure we do it against Cal. For women's lacrosse, opening in D1, going back to D1. Right. They're one of 2 programs that gets to say they were D1 before. Right. Baseball doing the same thing, but doing it on the road. So make sure on Thursday you got a 2 for women's lacrosse against Cal, men's basketball later on against CCSU inside of Ted Grant Court, and then a massive weekend Saturday, this Saturday. You do not want to miss Saturday, February 17th, and all the festivities that go along with honoring the history, the current, and bridging it all together, as we always talk about being one Phin family. And again, LeMoyne is special to me and beautiful to me because Bob and I don't sit and talk and say nice things. We talk about things that are important to us, and then you see them in action. And I've sat next to Bob for 3 years, and everything that we've talked about, I've seen something come of it. I don't go up to Bob and say, hey, 7 months ago we discussed this, where is it at? We have had genuine, real conversations on and off the air, and I've seen you come through for this athletic department. I've seen your team come through. I've seen the coaches, and I'm asking you, as they've come through for you, and they've honored their word here on Wake Up Call, that you come through for them on February 29th for Giving Day. 24 hours of giving back to LeMoyne and making sure that whatever is to come, you can be a part of.
Yeah, that's a very important day for us, Dan. The Giving Day allows us to execute a lot of the things that we talk about doing, whether it's branding, whether it's the establishment of a fueling station, nutritious snacks for our student athletes, our partnerships with local businesses that have allowed us to open up a smoothie station now a couple times a week, and then a nutrition station in our strength and conditioning. But all of that costs money, and you know, when you give to the unrestricted athletics fund, it allows us to, that's the fuel that we need to provide the experience for our student athletes. And as you mentioned, Dan, we take great pride in being kind of Syracuse's hometown school, right? Being really embedded in the community, and we feel like Saturday will be a big part of that. The Beeville Band, they're our adopted band, they're our adopted high school, and we love to bring them here, and that's really big. But we're doing the same with the Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, and Girl Scouts. We have another Scout Day on March 2nd. If you can't make it out Saturday, come March 2nd, we're going to offer the same opportunities. Post-game autograph sessions, again, because we want our student athletes to interact with the young people in this community. And then we have 2 military appreciation days set up for February, one on February 22nd, one on February 29th. Again, we're trying to connect with the community, all aspects of the community. We want to invite them here, invite them into LeMoyne, have some interactions and develop some relationships with our student athletes. They're our best resources, and we know that when folks have the opportunity to interact with our students and our student athletes here, that they want to continue to have that kind of relationship, because really the strength of LeMoyne has been and always will be our students, our student athletes, the people here that work here, our staff and faculty, but it all comes down to serving our students, and we feel like the community needs to be and wants to be part of this educational process that we have.
Yeah, I mean, it's so amazing to see it, and there's been so many autograph signings already. We've seen it with men's and women's soccer, we've seen it with men's and women's basketball, and I've been there on site to physically see the people that are standing around and making sure they get their autographs. And one of my favorite moments was how, it gives me a chill, is how we started off D1, where the women's soccer team came home, and not only were they signing, but they had the little kids. They would take something that they wanted them to sign, and the little kid would bend over and they'd sign it on their back, or they'd sign the jersey that they had on. And I was standing right there with the women's soccer team and watching them give so many autographs, and just see them smile and see the little kids there, and just that real connection of in any age, to have somebody come up to you and sign the jersey that you're wearing, sign the shirt that you're wearing. I mean, those are memories, and I tell them, I said, this is going to last with these kids forever. 3 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, and you could be the one that inspires them to get in the net, to get on the court, to jump in the pool, to pick up a lacrosse stick, to go out there and put a softball helmet on, or pick up a bat for baseball. You never know, or start running on a track, or pick up that tennis racket. You don't know what type of effect you can have on somebody. And every interaction that you have should be purposeful. Even the tiny ones that you think aren't important, like holding a door open. And LeMoyne held the door open for me, and I am so honored and privileged to be able to see so much growth. If you see it through my eyes, D2 to D1, the people didn't change. Through your eyes, you're seeing the viability of going from D2 to D1, but through my eyes, LeMoyne is LeMoyne, and I'm proud to wear a Phin. I'm proud to come here, and I'm proud to be at games yelling with Bob all the time. So thank you as always for everything.
And we yell words of encouragement to our players. We never yell at officials. That's something we never do. It's always an encouragement to our players. I just want to be clear about that. Because yelling could be taken so many different ways, right, Dan?
Well, I could say this, that when I coach soccer, my kids would say to me, they say, Coach, when you yell, you're encouraging us. They said, we got in trouble twice, and you sounded different. So they knew the difference between a yell and a yell. So yeah, when I say Bob and I yell, we're always passionate and having fun. And when I say yell, I should say we're always very loudly encouraging LeMoyne. And It doesn't matter the sport. We've been sitting next to each other with so many different events. We've seen more wins than losses.
It's been fun. It's been a great 3 years.
So there's a lot to come, and I'm already excited about the next 3, but we gotta get into these postseasons now, and we gotta milk it while we have it. So as always, from Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with LeMoyne College, we hope to see you on Thursday, on Saturday, and all throughout these seasons as winter continues to roll on. Spring is already here, and you have been here. Thank you so much for your support. Please bring your family, friends, coworkers, colleagues, and neighbors, and show them what it's like to be a part of the Phin family. There's no other way to simulate it. You're either part of the family or you can become part of the family. That's how we look at it. As always, Bob, Fins up.
Fins up, Dan.
We'll talk with you all soon.
Look forward to it.